Hello, my name is Jazmin Reymundo. I attend a Camino college. My major is child development.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Samuel Rodriguez. I'm currently just graduated from El Camino College and hopefully transferring out of Cal State LA. And I majored in fire and emergency technology.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Trice, and I am just starting taking classes at El Camino, and I'm going to be going into special education.
Hi, my name is Shanna Mann. I was in Renee's class 13 years ago, 14 years ago. Yeah. Oh, yeah. She told our class that she was having the twins. Yes. This is my 13th year in education. I teach AP US History at Golden Valley High School.
Well, hello again. I am Trice, and I have always had the desire to help people. So I'm going to tell you just a little bit about one of my experiences with one of my favorite teachers in the first grade, Miss Sturtevant. She really special to me. She just made my world because of her compassion and dedication to learning. She taught me how to read. And she even let my little brother come to school, so I really felt very special. And that her heart made it to where I wanted to become a teacher as well. And I'm filled with the memories that she made me feel about being special. And so because of, thank you. I knew I wanted to influence children the same way Ms. Sturtevant did, being dedicated to continuing my personal learning and provide rigorous training and inspiring lessons and give encouragement with an atmosphere of a place safe to learn for children. The El Camino Teach program has helped me put the puzzle pieces together. I've come to understand through the program the steps necessary for me to attain a teaching credential in special education. The program includes a resource center with access to printers, computers, the reference books, and the required books for our classes themselves. And there are counselors and tutors at the ready to help me to create my education plan while also helping me focus on what is necessary to secure a smooth transition to Cal State. I want to take a moment to thank Professor Aliano, who has made it her mission to be available for any questions or concerns. She's been very kind and patient, friendly, and generous. Professor Aliano continuously advises her students on the benefits of the program and the Resource Center, as well as many other opportunities at El Camino. In addition to faculty and staff who are available to aid to the students and guide towards their academic success, El Camino College offers amazing support to their students with resources such as the health center and a food pantry as well. I have had a great fortune to find things I have needed both personally and professionally. In closing, I like to leave you with this quote from Albert Einstein: education is not the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think. Thank you.
Hello. Hi. Once again, my name's Samuel Rodriguez. Just a little bit about myself. I did share. I went back to El Camino College. After a couple obstacles and hurdles, I was able to go back. Unfortunately, my father had double shoulder surgery, so I kind of had to step up, be the man of the house for a bit, which I don't regret, because in my heart, in my life, my family will always come first. Oh, well, not yet. So yes, just a little bit about myself as well. So, I majored in fire and emergency technology, transferring to Cal State LA. And currently, I took my BIDO exam on last Saturday, and I got accepted to the El Camino Fire Academy. So it's a big honor. Not all colleges have it's that luxury, that privilege to represent a fire academy. It's a big goal in my book, and I'm thankful that my college has the resources for me to obtain my firefighter 1 license. And yes, after taking I'm sorry, I'm kind of nervous, child development class with a professor. Yes, child development changed my world 180 degrees. Being out in the medical field, you do deal with children. I am an EMT, so it's hard to explain certain situations or issues you get to see. And with this class, it made me realize that, of course, children, the way you raise a child or the way you could inspire a child can make a difference for the rest of their lives. And I feel like that's something that I'm looking forward to, which also inspired me to come back and be part of the CTE program, which is a career, technical, and education. So I do want to obtain that so I could help out in the future. Yeah. So that's just a little bit about myself as well. I'm not afraid to say it. I did grow up with a single parent, which was my father. Father and a mother is not hard to do, but he was able to do it, and I wish he was here. But yeah, he's alive, but I don't want to make it. Yeah, he's not. Yeah. He's alive. Yeah. What I said came out kind of like he was gone. But, he's a good inspiration. The TEACH program did impact my life in many ways, knowing that this program can prepare me for the future of education and to help others. And another thing that got me into teaching as well, I did have a teacher back in high school. She was actually a nun, but also teaching and she really pushed me. As a teen, you don't really think about it. Like, why is this teacher always on me? Why is this teacher always picking on me? But when after graduation, after she was pretty much my mentor my last 3 years of high school. After graduating, she hugged me and it was really emotional, her sharing that her goal was to see me graduate. And she helped me out, all the subjects. She was my language arts teacher, but she helped me out in math. She helped me out even in Spanish. She was really fluent in Spanish. And I'm grateful for her. As a nun, she also had certain habits that she had the habit, if I would mess up, she would pull my ear and kind of pick me up. Not in a bad way, but yes. Yeah. At the time, I had so much respect for her. I really didn't care. I know that was a way of her letting me know that I'm messing up. So, yeah, I'm grateful for her. Same thing for Professor Ariano for inspiring me, making me. I do get nervous in a crowd of, like, if I see a crowd of people, like, sometimes I don't really care for it, but I don't know why I'm so nervous right now. But yeah, she helped me push for my goal to be able to help people in education, especially when it comes to this field. Not a lot of colleges have that resource where, especially when it comes to fire tech, and hopefully in the future I'll be able to change some lives and inspire other future firemen to become professors and help out the community. Just a couple words I live by: inspiration, commitment, and dedication. Something I grew up with, not just part of the fire service, but when you're dedicated and committed to something, it inspires you to be a better person. And you could change. People say that's changed the world, but you change the world when you decide to better yourself and achieve your goals. And thank you for the opportunity, and guys, have a good day.
Hello, my name is Jazmin Reymundo. So I'm just going to talk about myself. My name is Jazmin, like I said. I am from LA. I attend Camino College. I am a first generation attending to college. When I first came into Camino College, I was a little bit confused of what I really wanted to major. When I was taking my first year, I was just taking general classes. I came across taking Child Development 103 as a general class. After I took that class, it kind of like opened my eyes of what I kind of wanted to do, because as I was growing up, I had two ideas of what I wanted to be, of like a nurse or a teacher. So I was still kind of confused, trying to get college together and myself together. So after I took Child Development 103, I was able to kind of connect with it, and a lot of opportunities opened to me. For example, having a professor next to me guiding me through this class and kind of like opening me to all of the teach stuff that was going around, I was able to connect, and having support as a mentor and knowing that I had someone to ask questions and get answers was really helpful for me to find what I really wanted to do. So after I took that class, I concluded that I wanted to major in child development. Knowing that I had her and I had extra support in campus made it more easy for me. For example, the TEACH program. Having TEACH program in El Camino has helped a lot of us and myself to get that extra support, because we are first generation, so we don't have that so much support or guide through from our family. So knowing that we have this program where we could go, ask for help, and get questions answered is a good support we have. Also, having Teacher Resource Center is a room where literally there's a lot of stuff we could use, materials, printers, computer, and also we have tutors. Especially those tutors are also there to help you and give you feedback of the classes, because they had already took those classes. So you have that extra support, and it makes it easier for you. Especially for myself, that paying school, it's not cheap. Also, buying books could be expensive. So knowing that we have books that we could use and borrow, it's a good help for us. My goals is to transfer to Long Beach. I am a site director, so let's give a little talk about that. When I was in Child Development 103, I was still trying to find, like I said, what I wanted to do. After I took the class, a lot of things kind of clicked and made me kind of conclude that I wanted to major in child development. As I was done with that class, and out of the class, we have like a board where we just kind of like put information and help each other as a community. There was a job fair where I attended on my elementary school, middle school, Hawthorne District. So I was kind of nervous. I was like, let me just go give it a try, see what happens. So I just kind of went to just get the experience of an interview working with kids. I never thought coming out of the door I was going to get a job. I got offered being a teacher for after-school program. That was a coach. After 6 months being in that being a teacher for after-school program, I got promoted to a site director. So starting this year, for the 2019 and 2020, I will be a site director for Hawthorne Middle School. It had opened me a lot of opportunities to be able to put all the learning experience that I have learned through this whole year of taking child development classes, now be able to kind of put hand on hand and see if it really works on kids. And I just want to say thank you to everybody that has been here and sharing your stories has really impacted me and opened more mindset. And I want to leave with this quote: if you're not willing to learn, no one can help you. If you are determined to learn, no one can stop you. Thank you.
Okay, so if we were in my classroom right now, I would say we've been sitting a long time and listening a long time. So In the spirit of today, I would like you to take an opportunity to think about who your favorite teacher was and turn to somebody at your table and talk about it. Tell them what made your teacher great. Go ahead and do that right now, please. Wrap up your last thought. And all eyes should be back up front. Thank you. I always get excited talking about good teachers because there's nothing quite like a good teacher. If we were in the classroom right now, I would call on a few of you to share one characteristic that your partner mentioned about their favorite teacher. I'm not going to do that. There's too many of you, and it would get out of hand. So, yeah. So I'll just tell you what I think you said. That most likely your teacher was caring or compassionate, that your teacher had high expectations for you, that your teacher didn't give up on you when maybe other teachers had, or maybe even when you had at some point. There's a million other qualities of good teachers. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my favorite teacher. So I had a AP US history teacher and Gov teacher at Hart High School, and his name was Mr. Pugh, and he was absolutely terrifying. It was the scariest. You did not want to walk into that room unprepared because he would tell you to leave, and I had to before. I didn't read Federalist 10, it was hard. But I went back and did it because I got in trouble for not doing it. I actually found a picture of him online. He played basketball in high school, and there was a picture of him, and he passed a couple of years ago, and I thought about putting the picture up, and I know he'd be really mad at me, so I went with this picture instead. They donated, or they named the building that he taught in at Hart after him when he passed. And this is the first time that I was back on campus and I had seen this building. And so I was with my fiance and I was like, take a picture of me, take a picture of me. And my current principal walked by and I was like, oh, hello. And he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, well, you know, Mr. Pugh. And he just nods like, yeah, I know. But he demanded excellence. And I learned more from him than I learned from most people, probably outside of my parents that you learn everything from. But he taught me to not accept anything less than the best because you were capable of it. And so do it. And so a couple years after I had started teaching, I went back to school and I was talking to some of my teachers, and he was still there after school, and I sat down with him for a little bit and talked to him. Now he had, which he was never let us forget, he had 100% pass rate over, I don't know, a million years, which if any of you have ever taught AP, that's impossible. And it's crazy, but it's a testament to his expectations and how he held us accountable and held a really high bar. And the running joke, he would point and said, the bar's here, it's not moving. So you have to get to the bar. Now he would help you do that, but that's what was gonna happen. And so I was telling him about my teaching experience, and I'll get into that in a second. But he looked at me and he said, wow, I'm really proud of you. I don't think I could do something like that. And that was the last time I ever saw him. And I always think about that moment, and in my first few years of teaching, and even, yesterday, I was like, God, what would Mr. Pugh do about this? With like the redesigns and all of this stuff, it's crazy. But I always think about him, and I'm like, well, I can't accept anything less than my best, because he wouldn't. So thank you for letting me share that. And he'll probably still be mad about me sharing this picture, but there you go. So I always like to say, well, one, thank you. I am the product of your work and what you do. I came to teaching non-traditionally. I always say I didn't find teaching, teaching found me, and wouldn't let me go, which is another story. But I was a non-traditional teaching student. I entered school as a film major. I changed quickly to history and political science, and I thought I was going to go to law school and be a sports agent or a political strategist, and that was it. But at the end of my college year, or senior year, I got accepted to a program called Teach for America. And I ended up, I had never lived outside of Southern California, and so I had picked every possible destination away. And I ended up teaching in the South Bronx. That's where I started, teaching 7th and 8th grade social studies. And it's a 2-year commitment, the program is, but I ended up staying for 5. And I was able to get some leadership experience. I coached every sport possible, ran a bunch of clubs. I think I actually have, yeah. So I coached the 8th grade baseball team. And we had an end of year celebration at Central Park, and we went and played baseball in the park. We started taking kids to Washington, D.C. We started doing all of these things that really excited me and really exposed our kids to opportunities that were available to them beyond our school, beyond high school, beyond college. And I really enjoyed that. Before I left for the Bronx, I found Renee. I had graduated early, and I was home for a semester. I was coaching softball, and I didn't know what else to do with my time. And I looked through the college catalog at College of the Canyons and found 2 classes that I was really excited about. Spanish for educators, and I think someone mentioned that earlier today, and that excited me. That class got canceled, so I was sad. But Education 203, Teaching in a Diverse Society, and I was like, yes, I need to do that because that's what I'm going to do, and I had no experience in a classroom. And so I found myself in Renee's class, and I was mesmerized by her because she's amazing, and you can't help but pay attention. And she would tell us all these stories, and more than anything, she took me in. I had a phone interview for what would become my school with my principal, who was, obviously I was in California, he was in New York, and she was so kind and giving of her time, and she sat with me and she coached me through my phone interview. And I had never done anything like that. I was 22 and I didn't know what I was doing. And I still use stuff that Renee told me in that conversation, like turning a weakness into a strength. Instead of saying, "Oh, I don't like to wake up early to come to work," you can say, "Oh, you know, I take too much work home with me. Like I'm too dedicated." That's. She taught me, which I used in my interview for my current position, where I was offered a position teaching government and econ. And I did not want to teach econ, and believe me, if you had a student in my class, you would not want me to teach econ. And I said, you know, that's a really great position, and I'm sure I could, you know, I would do a good job. I would be a good econ teacher. But you know what? I'm a great U.S. history teacher. I'm a great U.S. history teacher. And my principal, my current principal, please don't tell Sal this. Dr. Doyle. Oh, God. He looked at me and he was like, "Well, you understand that's the job we're hiring for, right?" Yeah, but I don't want to teach that. And they ended up rearranging the schedule. There was some movement, and he called me and said, "We're going to offer you U.S. history and a section of AP," because I expressed that I was interested in doing that. And my mother's voice, it never hurts to ask, and Renee's voice, "Well, I could do this, but I'm really good at this." Together, I'm in my dream job. You could tell him that. So when Renee asked me to come up here, even though it is the first week of school, I could not say no.
Tell me when your students started.
My students started on Tuesday, yeah, so we're back at it. And I sent them an electronic field trip today, so they're still doing work, don't worry, they're good. So I spent time working, beginning in urban education. I taught, like I said, for 5 years in the South Bronx. I spent some time in Chicago And I was able to move up to high school and also start working in teacher prep, mentoring teachers with the Chicago Teaching Fellows. I started working with them during the summers. And so I kind of liked that. I liked helping people get a start. That felt good to me. I'm going to brag a little bit here. The picture there on the right, that's my advisory. They go by last name, the advisories do, and so my last name is Mann, so these notoriously became the men. And that was a very, very early and very cold morning in Chicago where they were volunteering at the hot chocolate run dressed as elves, and they did not like that picture either. And then I just always snap pictures of stuff going on in the classroom that I'm proud of. And this is one of the best conversations I happened to stumble upon. I walked by and they were reading this really dense article about Andrew Jackson. And I'm circling the room and I hear Christine say, "Well, I think this author does a really good job of talking about Jackson's multiplicity." And I was like, oh. Come again? And so I sat down right away and started listening, and I was like, "Tell me why you think that." And of course she did, and I was like, "Excellent, very good." So these are some of my students from Chicago. I ended up leaving and going to work in college athletics as a learning specialist, working one-on-one with at-risk student athletes, which is what I thought I wanted to do. I had a friend who was a very talented basketball player who missed a scholarship opportunity transferring from College of the Canyons to University of Florida. And he was not eligible because he didn't do what he was supposed to do. He didn't have good advice. It depends on who you talk to. It doesn't matter. He missed a really good opportunity, and it changed the course of his life. And so I ended up really wanting to be advocates for our student athletes and to be supportive of their journey through education. And I did that for a couple of years, but found my way back to the classroom because it's way better. So I moved home, which is when I ended up teaching in the school district I grew up in, teaching at a Title I school. That is the most diverse in our district, which is really important to me. And again, started teaching, started coaching everything, started doing all of these extra things, but really bringing this sense of urgency to the classroom and to my students, and inspiring them to, in the words of Mr. Pugh, the bar is here. Like, this is where we're going. This is where we have to get to. And this will be my 5th year there. As of last year, we moved from the second lowest pass rate for AP scores, AP US, to the second highest in the district. I make them come in on Saturdays. Actually, I don't make them. It is voluntary. I incentivize. But we have about 75, 80% attendance Saturday review sessions starting as early as February. I'm psychotic. But we've got to do some really cool experiential learning things. You'll see a picture here at the Reagan Library where the students got to do a simulation in the war room. And if any of your school districts are around there and interested in that, I highly recommend it. It's one of the coolest things I've ever seen kids do in real time. And then we had our most successful softball year 2 years ago, and that was our most successful group. We made a playoff run, so for us, we were very excited. Yeah, they'll be embarrassed and mad that I put that picture up too. So, like I said when I started, I stand here because of you, because of the programs that you are actively working to develop. And Renee didn't have to take me in at that moment. And who's to say, hopefully I still would have gotten the job anyway, but your words have stuck with me. And I always think very fondly about I was nervous about this job that I was taking on that I had no experience and I wasn't ready for. And I'm really grateful that there was a place that I could go to where someone would be like, you're gonna be okay. Here's how, here's a couple things you need to know. And the other stuff you kind of figure out as you go along. And the TEACH program was that for me when I needed it, when I needed some confidence, some assurance that it was gonna be okay. I am fortunate enough to now become one of you. I last year stepped into the position to be in charge of the CTE education pathway for the Hart District. Yeah, I'm figuring that out. And Dr. Doyle was gracious enough to support me coming today to talk about that experience as well. And we have a very close relationship with College of the Canyons. And Gina and I work well together, and we're trying to figure out, how to make things work for everyone and how we can support one another, how my students can, provide her students with opportunities to mentor, and how her program can help my students get experience at community events and things like that. And so it's been a really nice partnership, and you're so generous with your time and gracious when I mess up, and I am so grateful for you, so thank you. Thanks to Gina. So in thinking about what I wanted to leave here with, I came up with 3 things that I think are important as a moving forward. And the first one I think is to cast a wide net. Create a wide array of opportunities for non-education students. I was not an education student. I was not going to be a teacher. I stumbled into it. I tried to leave it a couple of times, and it's for me. It's what I should be doing, but I didn't know that. I didn't go to school for that. But I think back now, I participated in the joint educational project at USC, and that allowed me to go into classrooms and work with community schools. And I didn't realize at the time, but when you add those experiences up, it makes you more likely to get into education when opportunities reveal themselves later on, which is what happened for me. And so one way we're trying to do that, and we brainstorm a bunch of different things, and we're always like, oh, what if we tried this? But I want to reach out to students who want to become coaches, who we can maybe get internships at Boys and Girls Club, or internships with the city doing like student or child programming. Internships with my own administration. So maybe you don't think you want to be a teacher. That's okay. You might be later, you might not be, but access and exposure to education will not hurt anyone, and getting experience in that setting will not hurt. And also, I heard this mentioned earlier today, appealing to people who are passionate about social justice, who are, not politically minded, but who want to enact change. Like Kenya said, desire to help people, right? Those are the people who belong in this profession. And if we can reach out to kids who don't know that they want to teach, because that sounds weird, and I sit in a classroom all day, and why would I ever want to come back here? But I like those things, and I feel passionately about those things, and we can appeal to those kids and plug them into where they feel like they're making a difference. And then creating as many opportunities for kids to try different things out. Gina and I talk about this all the time. I've got a lot of kids, some of which will love early childhood education. They will. That would have terrified me. And so we want to provide kids opportunities to go work in other classrooms where the kids aren't little and scary. I know. They always say, well, how do you do it? I'm like, no, it's fine. It's great. So providing a wide variety of meaningful learning opportunities for our kids to get some hands-on experience and to see what they like, because we don't want them getting into programs later on and deciding once they're already done with them, oh, I actually don't like this. I want to do something different, or I wish I would have tried this other thing out. And then lastly, which I'm going to echo something that I heard said today too, coaches and mentors for young teachers. I am 100% here because Renee picked me out, and when I got to my school in New York, and there was a day where I couldn't even go into the classroom because it was chaos and I was not ready, and a teacher stepped in and said, you know what, why don't you just take a minute here and I'll go in and I'll get this started, and worked with me. in my own district now, I have sought out, a new mentor who's amazing and who I still want to be more and more like. And so really providing support for our young teachers when they're in there, because it is scary and they will leave. But they can be great if we kind of support them and guide them and encourage them. And I think someone said, be nice to them. Great idea. So with that, I think I talked a long time, but I thank you once again for all that you're doing, because it does make a huge difference. And I really love that we're coming together at all levels, with K through 12, with community colleges, with four-year universities, and finding really great opportunities for people who want to help to be able to serve. So thank you so much.
I feel like a proud mama right now. I think one of the coolest things, though, honestly, is we hadn't seen each other for years. And the district invited me to come to an advisory meeting for the education pathway that I had helped develop with Dr. Doyle and some other key stakeholders in the region. And I walked into the meeting, and then my student was leading the ed pathway. And it was just, really, really impactful. So let's give this group a huge round of applause. And we have a